Okay, boys, let's talk about my beloved Boston Celtics, and let's see, can anybody in the Eastern Conference beat these guys? Obviously, they're great. They're the favorites in the East. They're going to probably get over 60 wins. You got KP screening for Drew or Tatum or Jalen or Derek White. You have Tatum screening for any of the guards screening for Tatum. You got the, Jalen fadeaway jumpers extraordinaire season where Tatum and Jalen have gotten into the post more to give them a little more variety with the offense. You've got the defense where KP can protect the rim, he can be a help guy, and you can put Drew on kind of anybody. Like in the recent Heat game, they had possessions where Drew was on Bam, and then KP's helping off of like Hawkes or Caleb Martin. Like the team is fantastic. And who in the Eastern Conference can beat them in a playoff matchup? Now, to get the obvious thing out of the way, yes, we will see crunch time. Hopefully they don't fall into ISO ball. Porzingis' existence, being able to screen for anybody, space the floor, roll, all of it will hopefully help. We all get this. Also him being, another post-up option for him in the middle of the floor, stuff like that. Of course, Porzingis' health, that's going to be a massive thing. We will see if he is healthy. He's been healthy so far. He's been great. The other obvious thing with them is, obviously they're going to take a lot of threes. I'm fine with this. The only thing is you don't want too many of we didn't really do anything on this possession, and now somebody's going to take a quick three type of shots, But anyway, who can beat them in the East? Well, ironically, the two losses that they've recently had that I'm going to reference are ones to the Nuggets and the Clippers, who are not in the East, of course. And then we'll talk about the teams in the conference. Although, real quick, I'll acknowledge that loss to the Lakers where Austin Reeves made a million tough jump shots and D'Lo looked like Jason Kidd for the night and the Celtics' energy was bad. I don't know what happened that game, okay? It was a good win for the Lakers. The Clippers made the Celtics look maybe the worst that they've looked all season, right? The other game being the 30-point loss to the Bucks off of the back-to-back where they just had the overtime win against the Wolves the night before. But yeah, back to the Clipper game. The biggest thing in that game, man, you can look at the stats and you say, well, the Celtics shot 10 for 40 from 3, that's why they lost the game. The Clippers also shot exactly 10 for 40, mind you. But the biggest thing, man, was the Clippers through their switching 1 through 4, through having, in this game, Plumlee and Tice were playing. Zubats was not back yet. He was a little higher up on screens. You had Kawhi on Jalen, you had Terrence Mann on Tatum, but again, there's a lot of switching with the Clippers 1 through 4 and stuff. The gist is the Celtics just couldn't get daylight on kind of anything between the switching and the bigs being higher up and stuff, and they were switching off the ball as well. The Clippers were also just saying, yo, Al Horford, go take as many jump shots as you want, which, yes, I do love Al. Consistency and the fact that he's still good at this age is insane. And I'm sure in the playoffs there's going to be some games where he goes off from 3 or his defense is great. But also, teams are going to dare him to make shots, right? And in that game, he wasn't able to do it. In their loss to the Nuggets, which was a really close one, the Nuggets did some interesting things defensively where they had MPJ on Porzingis, and then they would switch a lot of KP actions to where, even if it's Jamal Murray ending up on Porzingis, they would then double off of that. And to make all this work, they had to put Jokic on Drew, and they had some cool possessions where they would put 2 to the ball on Tatum, and then Jokic would have to help off of Drew, and he would be there to meet Porzingis. And then you would have, I think it was KCP rotating over to Drew in the corner, and all this happens in a second, pretty much. It was really good team defense from the Nuggets, and so I'm asking myself, who else in the East can throw something at the Celtics to make them uncomfortable on offense, whether it's pressuring the ball without fouling, whether it's putting 2 to the ball on Tatum or Jalen, or messing with the matchups to where you can be pretty switchy against them and they can't just have Porzingis kind of screen for anybody and they flow out of that, I mean, of course it's going to be hard. They got so much spacing and talent out there. Everybody can put the ball on the floor. Everybody can shoot. Of course, Miami has done pretty much all of this to them in the past, the zone, and you'd think Porzingis is the perfect guy to counter a zone and all that. I know Miami's the 7th seed right now. Rozier's currently out. We all like that move anyway. Look, after that previous playoff run, it would just be disrespectful to not mention Miami at all in this video. And actually, the last game they played, Miami was able to keep it much closer than it probably should have been. A lot of that because they just grabbed a whole bunch of offensive rebounds. They had way more shot attempts than the Celtics did. Also, Tyler Hero ended up making some kind of really tough shots late there. Jimmy also had a quote that terrified the hell out of me where he said 2 days ago, I don't think it matters who we go up against right now. It's that time of the year. Anyway, now let's go on to the rest of the East. So Cleveland is the 2 seed. So let's start with Cleveland, who I, of course, just said very nice things about in a recent video of mine, talking about the defense of Okoro and Dean Wade and Jared Allen, especially throughout their run as Mitchell was going crazy. They've of course got, pretty much all their guys back now. I think the trio of Jared Allen, Evan Mobley, and Isaac Okoro can certainly make the Celtics work for it a little more on offense. Mobley and Allen, with how mobile both of them are while still giving you the rim protection and all that stuff. Yeah, they got some things to prove after the Knicks series last year, I understand. But some of that, of course, was the Cavs didn't have enough shooting. They got more shooting now, we all know that. And with a Cleveland matchup, I do quickly think about, well, it's Garland and Mitchell versus Derek White and Drew, with the caveat of Mazzulla could put Drew on anybody, right? And Jalen would probably see a decent amount of time on either one of them. Tatum some, but I would bet Jalen more. But these teams played both of their games so far way back in December. Their next one is March 5th, and that'll definitely be one to watch. But, I mean, Mitchell was still able to get buckets in those games. He's got Drew on him sometimes. He's getting, like, some pull-ups over Derek White on a switch, or he's making pull-ups with KP dropping on screens on him. There's some possessions where Jalen's on him, and, I mean, the defense is fine fighting around the screen, but, I mean, obviously Mitchell's been making a lot of tough shots this year, right? I mean, I've already said just keep the thing moving. You know, keep using Jared Allen as a hub for DHOs and all that. Just keep having Garland or Mitchell coming around pin down actions to where it's not just dribble, pick and roll, you know what I mean? And also just, you know, having Max Strus flowing around on offense and everything, you know, screen setting or coming off of screens. You get what I'm saying. Now let's go to the Bucks. So the Bucks are 5-7 under Doc. Their last game against the Wolves was pretty encouraging. We're in the third quarter. Crowder on Cat being physical, fronting the post on him. Probably got away with a couple things, but okay. I mean, Cat had 22, but it was not an efficient 22, right? And, you know, Crowder was, like, switching screens when Cat was involved, so that kind of slowed down the Wolves' offense. One play where he, like, collapses really hard off of Jaden McDaniels to kind of force a desperate pass out of Ant on a pick and roll as Brook is dropping and Beasley's trailing him to where it becomes a turnover as he tried to throw it to McDaniels in the corner. The Bucks' defense has been better under Doc. They did get torched from three in that one game against Miami that I've talked about. You know, in the first game against the Nuggets, they did some stuff where, like, Giannis would be on Jokic in the fourth quarter, and then they would switch the Murray-Jokic two-man game, and then Brook, like right after this happens, would then go from Gordon at the dunker spot to Jokic at the free throw line, which is called a scram switch because it's not out of a screen action, right? At least I think that's what it's called. The point is like there's been some signs, right? And that's, I think, where the Bucks would have to get to defensively to really slow down the Celtics. Now, of course, there's the other questions of, you know, Celtics slowing down Giannis, and they've tried Drew on him some this year. I mean, Horford in the past has put on the most valiant efforts you could possibly ask, especially of his age, when it came to guarding Giannis. Of course, they got Tillman for some insurance there now, too. If the Celtics and Bucks meet each other, like, anybody could start a possession on Giannis, and then from there it's, you know, we're going to double him, when's the help coming, and all that stuff. And then if Dame is making all of his tough jumpers, then suddenly we've got an interesting series. You know, Middleton's health required for the Bucks, too. But the biggest question I've got for the Bucks in that matchup would be, how can they allow Brook to just remain a rim protector around the rim, right? Because if he's got to worry about Porzingis out there all day, then that's going to hurt the Bucks defense, right? And it's not just with Porzingis' shooting, it's also, I mean, he's got the rolls, the cuts, he can throw it to somebody, then immediately cut. You probably want somebody else rotating over, which doesn't sound like a lot, but in execution, as everything's happening really fast off of like a Tatum, Porzingis pick and pop or whatever, like you just got to execute the stuff really well. And again, the Bucks defense has been better under Doc, you know, now 5-7, record not amazing, but okay. Some encouraging signs, I think. Now, of course, the Celtics would have to worry on the other end as well. Like, if Brook is able to torch them from three, then, well, okay, the difference there is, you know, Porzingis quicker trigger. I mean, he averages 20, Brook averages 13. Now, whenever Horford would be in the game, at that point, Brook would just say, yo, Al, go ahead, and if you make a couple, then we might switch it up. The other thing with the Bucks, too, is, like, do they have enough good one-on-one defenders to really bother Tatum and Jalen, right? I mean, I like Crowder's energy. Obviously, Pat Bev's energy is going to be there, and, I mean, when it's a shorter dude, it's like, sometimes there's just a height disadvantage, and other times it's like, oh, this little dude is, like, basically breathing on me right now, you know, for a wing player. But again, you know, they've been in the post a little bit more this season. This is another reason why not only would you love to have Middleton healthy, but you would really love if you could get in a time machine and be like, I don't know, 3 years younger to have like the best shot you would possibly have at just having some solid one-on-one defense on, you know, Tatum and Jalen, of course. Speaking of one-on-one defense on those guys, I think it's safe to assume that OG would be probably the best dude you could ask for, or among the best you could ask for. The thing with the Knicks is that we're just waiting, man. OG and Randall are out right now, as we all know, and we're just open. I mean, yes, I do believe that a healthy Knicks team, through being physical as hell, Mitchell Robinson, if he's healthy, but if not, I mean, Hardenstein himself also does a lot on the boards, forcing the Celtics to worry about that. OG and Randall and Josh Hart, I mean, the Celtics would dare him to make jumpers, of course, but just like the switchability and strength of those guys. I mean, DiVincenzo starting, of course, Brunson, his shot making. Like, yes, I think the Knicks can be a threat in the playoffs. I mean, somebody's going to have to deal with that MSG crowd where Jalen Brunson's on a heater. Also, early return on Boyan for the Knicks, so he has gotten his threes up as you would expect. He's also gotten some physicality around the rim. Like in the Sixers game, I remember a play, he was posting up Buddy Hield. I was like, all right, Boyan, go off. In the Rockets game, he went at like Aaron Holiday in the post a little bit. He took Jabari off the dribble one time for a pull-up too. I was like, all right, go off. But of course, again, the Knicks, they got to get healthy first. Then we get to the Sixers. I mean, unfortunately, man, it's just about Embiid's health right now. I will say this, when Embiid went down in that video, I said, I don't think the Sixers are going to fall apart without Embiid. So far, I might have been a little too nice. They are having a rough time without Joel right now. and the Pacers are right on their tails for that 5th seed. So we have a bit more of a sample now of Siakam with the Pacers, and with Haliburton not being on his minutes restriction as much, coming back from the hamstring injury. We've seen Siakam, like in the Hornets game, he was cooking from the top of the key, just getting downhill, going out like Grant Williams, getting into his Siakam free throw line, paint, fadeaway jumper things. We have seen a little bit of like Doug McDermott goes to screen for Siakam to clear the side of the floor for him to where he can attack. Of course, Hallie is still running the show, and so you are still going to get your like Turner, Haliburton, quick screen actions right at the start of possessions. And okay, like yeah, you're going to see Siakam spotting up in the corner a little bit there. His 3-point rate has been low so far, but the percentage has been really good. And in the game they had recently, I mean, you had Siakam score on like Derek White or Drew in the post a couple of times, which, yeah, that's definitely one thing with the Haliburton-Siakam two-man game is forcing switches and then Siakam being able to go at guys he's larger than. And even then, you know, obviously Derek White and Drew, good defenders. So what was the point of all this? I don't know. Look, the Celtics should make the finals, all right? Like, if they don't make it, it's because Giannis and Dame went insane, rhyming accidentally. And the Bucks also prove that they still can be a great defense or get good enough defensively, even with you know, the perimeter defense being worse. Or Cleveland's defense was able to go to a suffocating other level, and then whether it's Mobley making threes, whether it's Mobley making the plays in the short roll if you put two to the ball on Garland or Mitchell, or Mitchell just making enough insane tough jumpers, and also you probably need like Isaac Okoro to put Jason Tatum in hell, pretty much, or OG to put Tatum in hell, and like Drew and Derek White are not enough, either one of them, to slow down Brunson, so then you're bringing two to him, and the Knicks are killing you from three as the MSG crowd just explodes my television. Or if Miami just does it again, which that's still the scariest one for me, or Embiid to come back and average 40 a game, Porzingis missing a game or two in a series as well, or clearly not being exactly himself with lower body stuff, like, yeah, they should make the finals.